and welcome to the show. This is a Trump Talk special edition, Trump on foreign policy. Whenever I miss doing a daily Trump Talk, I like to fill in the gap with a special edition so that we can talk about Trump's specific positions on various issues. I know all of us who have been following Trump this whole time have had to deal with people saying Trump has no specifics. Trump has tons of specifics and they're all online. And I just try to make them a little easier by sort of summarizing them and talking about them with you here on Periscope and sharing these to YouTube so that we can all share this information and understand what Trump's about. Trump delivered an excellent foreign policy speech about a week or so ago. Absolutely amazing stuff. The entire speech is listed in the press releases section. So you have to go to donaldjtrump.com. You want to look in, and see it's right here on the computer. You want to look in the section called, what is the section called? Media press releases. So you're going to go into the media tab, media press releases. They have all the different press releases here. This one we're going to talk about, there's a bunch of shorter ones you have to kind of dig through. There's the tax policy, there's a bunch of different things, but I've sorted through already, so we're going to talk tonight just about the foreign policy issues. Now, some points Trump made in the speech. We are overextended. That's a huge fact. We as Americans are overextended in all of our missions across the globe. We spend too much time. We have too many men everywhere, and we don't have enough resources. We're not feeding the military. We're not providing. We're not stocking and staffing it properly. And so we are certainly undercutting our own ability. We need to, in order to be able to fund the military properly, we need to restore trade and we need to restore jobs so that we can continue to build the kind of revenue necessary to have a strong, vital military, which is a very important position for Mr. Trump, that we strengthen the military, that we refund it, because we're sending soldiers literally overseas with ill-equipped tanks, body armor, all sorts of things. We all know how badly that's going. Additionally, our allies are not paying their fair share. For example, in the NATO countries, only 4 of the 28 NATO countries are paying the required 2% of GDP into the NATO fund. So we're actually funding almost all of the NATO missions. Our allies are paying very little of their agreed amounts. This isn't even just paying for the cost. These are the amounts agreed upon in the NATO agreement. It's one of the things people got really upset at Mr. Trump about, that he wanted to put some pressure on our allies to follow up on their NATO agreement. And they made a whole bunch of statements about he wants to just get out of NATO and throw NATO away. Really, he wants to put pressure on those who are using us as a bank account for their free security under the guise of NATO. So it's actually very important that we do that in order to ensure security for us, but also for our NATO allies, because we certainly can't afford to keep providing, and that we've cut back. And we see it in Crimea, and we see it in other places across the globe where we have been unable to provide services because we just are not being supported properly by our ally members. Additionally, our allies are losing faith in America. You see how we are treating Israel. You see how we are treating European nations. You see how many situations where we have had an opportunity to support our allies and we are turning against them. You saw the Ukraine. It goes on and on like this. And this is certainly something that our weak leadership is creating a sense from our allies that we can't be trusted. That's a very dangerous place to be, because it certainly creates the pressure on our allies to act on their own. And that can be very dangerous. So we want to be very careful of that. Our rivals don't respect us anymore. Iran, Saudi Arabia, who is allegedly an ally, but they don't act like an ally. They act like an adversary many times. North Korea doesn't respect us. Nobody has the same respect for us anymore, because we draw red lines in the sand. We don't follow through. We don't support what we say we're going to do. We don't back up our fellow allies because we can't. And we certainly don't and haven't under this last administration. We talk a lot of, but we don't do a lot of. So certainly that's going to be something that changes under a Trump administration. The real reason we are not respected, and this is a very important point that Mr. Trump makes, we have not for quite some time, perhaps even since as recently as the end of the Cold War, we have not had a clear vision and goals on what the U.S. foreign policy is. So we're going to change that. Change that entirely. First and most important step that Mr. Trump plans to take with our foreign policy is we must make an effort to stop the spread of radical Islamic terrorism. We need to work with our other allies. We need to work with NATO, shift our focus in NATO to deal with terrorism. We need to change that focus so that we are actually attacking the problem at hand, because nothing is destabilizing the world faster than ongoing and increasingly violent radical Islamic terror. So that's going to be a key point. Point number 2, rebuild the military and our economy. You can't do one without the other, you guys. We can't rebuild the military without rebuilding the economy, because we don't have any money to rebuild the military. And we can't rebuild the economy if we don't rebuild the military, because our military is what makes trade safe in the world. It is what allows us to be safe here in our nation, and it certainly is what is going to continue to make America prosperous. We won't have anybody to sell all this stuff to that we were going to make when we get all our jobs back if the world is falling apart because we didn't do our part to help keep it safe. So it's very important that we rebuild our military and our economy, have a strong military which deters many people from taking actions they wouldn't otherwise. When we had a much stronger military, we certainly had a lot more natural deterrence in the world from rogue actors, particularly North Korea, many nations who just kind of poke at us now because they know we're not going to do anything about it, which is sad, really. Third, and this I think is great because we haven't had this in a long time, an America First policy. Now, everyone wants to get all upset. Oh, it's so jingoistic to be America First. Here's the deal, you guys. What makes America a force for good is that we are able to be strong militarily, strong economically, provide a place where people want to come, want to be inspired, want to create their dream, want to turn that opportunity into financial success, that is a place, a shining light on the hill. I hate to bring it back, but it's true. In the world, makes the world a better place. So when America is strong, when America is taking care of America and freedom, the world is a better place because we are more able to trade. We are more able to engage with other countries. We are more able to engage with other countries safely because they respect us. So America First policy is not a selfish attempt at America not caring about anybody else. It's actually the best way for America to create a safe and secure world for trade. And so I'm very excited to hear that is going to be a position, a guiding vision in Trump's foreign policy. There's a lot of other things that are really important there. There's a few points I want to add. Mr. Trump is not for the spread of globalism. And by globalism, I mean, and he means as well, the spread of global governance, of global currency manipulations, of global banking cabals, of anything that is breaking down national sovereignty. We've had so much of that with the formation of the European Union. It has been an ongoing decay of national sovereignty, more and more intrusiveness by the UN and other international bodies, activist groups, ongoing, this sort of thing, decaying and diminishing national sovereignty. But it's that national sovereignty that has made the world great in trade. It has made America a great and powerful nation in that we can work hard within our boundaries and compete within each other in the globe. So it's very important that we fight the idea that we are all one nation, because we're not. It's very important that we are able to divide up and create great places, and certainly some incentive places that people want to aspire to coming to and making their countries perhaps better as well. And that's what's worked in the past. Unfortunately, isn't working anymore because too much one world government. So we're going to stop that. While keeping the role of the peacemaker, the United States government has been the peacemaker. Mr. Trump has no intention on being the world's policeman. He has every intention on making the countries that we secure pay for that security. If you listen to his speech today at the Rolling Thunder Convention, he spoke about how Japan pays for half of the security that we provide for them. but not all. And it's very interesting that we are footing half of the bill for Japan's own security and why that would be. So certainly looking at foreign policy in a different way and the services we provide other nations in a certain way is going to be important, but also very important that we do not lose sight of the United States' role as a peacemaker. We have been a peacemaker and a force for peace for quite some time. We certainly have had some unusual skirmishes in the last two presidencies, got to be honest, last two presidents, got to be honest, that took us certainly away from the role of peacemaker. But it is a focus we are going to restore under President Trump and restore strength and respect through strength. So no more letting China just build islands in the South Chinese Sea. None of this. We're going to stand strong and resistant through a show of force, but certainly we don't need to use that force as long as we demand the kind of respect that America always has demanded, because we are a force for peace, and we earn that respect by continuing to be a force for peace. So please take a look at it. There's a great deal of policies. DonaldJTrump.com, press media /press releases. You're looking for the one on the foreign policy speech. There's two. One of them, you click the link, it has the full text of the policy speech, and you can read it for yourself. There's some great stuff, certainly some things we have needed as a country for a long time. So go ahead and take a look at it. There's a lot more details than everyone wants to talk about, as usual. I think Trump's foreign policy is certainly something that we have needed for a long time. It's time we are not the policemen of the world, and if we are going to police, we certainly aren't getting ripped off at the same time. So, good stuff, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with the Trump Talk episode 32. We've been doing it a whole month. Pretty exciting stuff. Until then, go ahead and take a look at DonaldJTrump.com. Thank you, Bikers for Trump. Thank you to all of our men and women in service. And thank you to those who have made the sacrifice for this great country. God bless America. From me and Little Trumpy. Vote Trump. Have a great day.